You are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of KNUCKLE! Welcome, my friends, to a show that apparently, despite the incredibly low production value, never ends. If some of you are watching it live, I hope you're enjoying your Sunday evening as I am. Yes, enjoying a Sunday evening in the brisk chill of a November night. Huddled up in the warmth of my 4 jackets. And a hot toddy. Yes, I have a hot toddy. We'll start the show wherein we talk about UFC Fight Night 79, Henderson and Masvidal. I hesitated to mention their name in the intro because it's not their fault. But first, this. I'm on my way back to nowhere. I took my time with it. Could not see so clear. I'm taking a real good look at your face. For being paid back and for always nothing. All right. Let's cut the music. Since we figured out we can't have the music. We don't have the sophistication necessary at the low rent end of where are we? A Bloody Elbow. It's like that great movie, The Stepfather, where, or much like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, where, he tells his multiple story about the murder of his mother, and he says, so I drowned her. And somebody goes, hey, wait a minute, I thought you said you stabbed her. He goes, oh yeah. Unreliable narrator is what it's called. In the movie The Stepfather, the guy, the same thing, this guy marries multiple women and then, and then kills them, takes their money. And then at one point he said, oh yes, it reminds me of that time when I was growing up in Muncie, Indiana. And his wife goes, wait a minute, I thought you said you grew up in South Dakota. And he's like, wait a minute, who am I here? So very frequently I have the same sort of Billy Pilgrim type action where I get unstuck from time and forget where I am. Usually it happens when I'm on tour. At home, it doesn't really happen, but here I am, usually if I'm in the bunker, doing the show from the bunker, which is now full of stuff, jam-packed, my cot folded up, jammed up against the wall and stuff jammed in. It's really just a cement rectangle, and it's pretty cold. But now I'm in the studio, and it is also pretty cold. I have come to the conclusion, much like I did about my manner of dress during the IF International Federation of Brazil, IFBJJ, and I'm like, man, all my rash guards make me look fat. Yeah. It's the rash guards that are making you look fat. I've come to the conclusion that I don't happen to live in cold places, I've come to the conclusion that I can't afford heat. So the remainder of the show will be done. You're lucky I don't have a garbage can fire around which I want to save fire, any mention of fire or actual fire, that show number 251, round number 251. If you've not noticed, we go backwards with the shows. When we hit round number 251, if I haven't either been nominated or won for Best MMA Journalist of the Year, I'm going to set myself aflame. Now, I put myself in an extra special predicament since I have declared that John Nash, for his work on the UFC finances, should win MMA Journalist of the Year. But I guarantee you it'll probably go to Ariel Helwani for the 5th time, for reasons that Kid Nate won't explain to me since he's good friends with the guy. However, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk. This is on round number 338. Let me just back up a bit. I am your host, Eugene S. Robinson. The S stands for stolid as a rock, regular as rain. And we're talking about what I call the yawn and sorrow of UFC Fight Night 79. Henderson and Masvidal, like I said in the intro, I didn't even want to mention them in the written intro. I did not want to mention them in the written intro very precisely because it's not their fault. It was not their fault, you know, and we knew going into it. I mean, those of you who are keeping count on such like things might note that this was probably the highest percentage of don't cares ever. And I learned my lesson because the week before had a high percentage of don't cares. And actually, it ended up being, oh shit, what am I talking about? Rhonda and Holly had a plethora, you know, a bevy, a panoply of don't cares, and it turned out to be one of the major cares of 2015 post facto. But in any case, I think I have to say that this had a lot of don't cares, and I learned my lesson. I know, had it not been for Georgie B, who said, look, I don't know if you're going to, I know you got a lot of don't cares on here, but you need to watch the first fight on the prelims. I wouldn't have watched the prelims. I jumped into it at Sam Cecilia because that's where Fight Pass jumped into it. And I'm not getting up at 3 in the morning. I do not care. I was going to stay up late, but since I stayed up late already the night before, it was abusing my body in a variety of different alcohol-based ways, I figured I would just start at the start. However, I have seen Dong Young Kim and Dominique Steele, and Dominique Steele is, would I be out of line for calling him the Black Keith Jardine? He's got elements of Rampage at him, but his spasmodic victory dance reminded me so much of Keith Jardine. I had to take my hats off to Dominique Steele. Yeah, no, I like this guy. I like his speech. I like him, you know, excusing himself for saying the word motherfucker and then saying it again, or did it go the other way? I don't remember. But it was a great fight, especially when you consider the leadoff fight of the night. If you are not named Kim, Moon, Yang, Huang, if you were not specifically from Korea, you stand a good chance of an actual fact being put on the card as grist for an interest that the UFC has in a developing market in Asia, right? I don't think I'm going to hurt anybody's feelings by saying that, right? I mean, we could be, and Koreans who I've likened to my Korean girlfriend in high school, who had actually very little sense of humor about this kind of thing. I would say, you know, I think Koreans are like the Italians of the Asian world, you know? It's like, and she goes, well, what are you basing that on? I go, well, the fact that Jay Chung just tried to choke me to death. She goes, well, why did he try to choke you to death? I said, well, I was talking to him in a general way about something. I said, you know, you Chinese guys. And he launched himself over the desk, you know, and had his hands around my throat, screaming at me at the top of his lungs, I'm not Chinese. I got you, buddy. I was 14 years old, you know, or yeah, I was 14 years old. So I was recounting the story because I didn't have a regular routine girlfriend until I was about 17. Not that you needed to know that. But in any case, um, you know, so if you don't think that the setup was supposed to be Korean fighter against an Auslander and you know, the hometown crowds, and I got to tell you that Korean crowds is nothing like going to a fight in Japan where you can go to a fight in the Tokyo Dome and, you know, 65,000 people. God damn it. And 65, sorry. I don't have stuff to throw when I need stuff to throw. And I'm not going to, I only got is my wallet. And a shoe. Oh, I got a book here. Let me, I got to deal with this. Sorry. I got this magazine. I'm sorry. I gotta leave the show for a second. I can't. What can you do? Circumstances beyond my control. There's chaos around me. I got nothing to throw. I got nothing left to throw. That's a line from an Oxbow song. So if you don't think that I can't deal with this. Yeah, when you live with animals, you live with animals, you know. Get out of that box. Sorry. Success. That book that I threw just now was called Dark Alliance by Gary Webb. So, hey, what other shows do you get? And the poster didn't even fall over. So if you don't think that the setup was for Dominic Steele to lose this fight, you're extremely wrong. And it's not like in the Tokyo Dome where you get 65,000 people and you can hear a pin drop. Korean crowds let it be known, and they were pulling hard for Dong Young Kim, who got slammed, you know, upped and alley-ooped, elbowed in the face. And every time there's that one commenter, I know you're switching off right now because you know what I'm about to say. If you watch the end of the Dong Young Kim, Dominique Steele, go somewhere else right now. In fact, if you're not a usual listener to this show, it will not make sense to you. It will not make you happy. You will be extremely unhappy because once again, I'm going to bring up the specter of Chad Mendes and Connor McG and say, look at how he was slammed, alley-ooped, slammed, maybe possibly head-butted when his head bounced off the mat and hit Steele, and then delivered, what was it, 4 elbows to his unconscious face before, was it Leon Roberts, who was a ref, stopped the fight. This is a bit different from the 1.3 strikes that Mendes got before they waved off the fight for the interim champ, Conor McGregor. Look, I love Conor McGregor. We'll get to him later, but that was straight up bullshit. All right, so Guangyu Ning versus Marco Beltran. Did I watch the fight? You want me to lie? You know? You want me to lie? Do you really want me to lie? You know? So Beltran beat Guangyu Ning. Do I care? I don't care. Do you care? You know? I mean, what? By a split decision? No way. Okay? Freddie Serrano and Ziku Yao. Do I care? Man, I hate to see people injured. You know why? You know why I hate to see people injured? I don't want to see somebody, his arm, the phrase that they use to describe his arm is horribly dislocated, because I have a superstition. The superstition I have is that if I see an injury, I will make manifest an injury. And I don't desire to make manifest any injuries. No, 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 no. Siu Hee Ham and Courtney Casey, if you care, I'd be very surprised. Yeah, so Eugene, how is it going to happen that people move from don't care to care? If you, hey man, look, you guys got me once, shame on me. Get me twice, got me once, shame on you. Got me twice, shame on me. Nah, son. I'm not invested 3 hours of my life in this. No way, no way. You know, the care don't care preview should set the template. You know, I'm only watching the ones I get, and if I hear some buzz, like Georgie B said, oh, Dominic Steele. Hey, did I mention I got a letter from I don't know if he wants he wants me to mention his name. I should dig it out before the show is over. I will. Mr. Tommy LeBee. Tommy LeBee. You know, he said, I love the show. You know, you didn't ask for it, but I'm going to send it. Just send me some greenbacks. That was nice. Maybe someday I'll have enough so PG&E will actually turn the heat on. That was really nice. Usually it's I get your books, autographed, fight book, double CD, audiobook connected for those who don't read. And if you guys want to bust out, I got Skull Game shirts. I got a lot of stuff around here I could sell. I got tapes. I got a Long Slow Screw, my crime novel, all kinds of stuff. But that's not the point. The point here is that if I hear that somebody is worth, it has made the don't care to jump. If by your estimation, they've made the don't care to care jump, that's fine. I'll check it out. Otherwise, I got shit to drink and people to see. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I should watch, and I'm thinking about going back to watch Tyson Bang versus Leo Kuntz. The only reason we cared about Leo Kuntz was because of his amusing last name. But suddenly there emerges a specter of work. Work. How's that, Eugene? How could it be a work? Well, there's a shifting of the odds. Kuntz and Bang Kuntz. You gotta be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Am I the only junior high school in attendance that a card with Bang Kuntz on it doesn't warrant more mention? Well, it does warrant more mention when all of a sudden the odds start getting kind of funny and going right up into it, and then what happens? Oh, it's a split decision that goes by way of Bang, and people are already right now texting me. I got the phone, which is making it hard for me to concentrate when I'm not throwing stuff at the cat. Texting me and sending me stuff on Twitter about, hey, Eugene, what do you think? Does that smell rotten to you? I can't watch the fight while I'm doing the show, but after I finish the show, I got to watch it. So, but you know what? First of all, like somebody on Twitter said to me, when these guys are making $500 from Reebok and then $7,000 from the UFC, you've got a casus belli. You got a reason to go to war against poverty, and that reason is you're not making enough. You might be open to some talk, especially if you're a fighter who's whatever. I got 12-4. Why not? What's 12-5 going to be if it pays? And if you don't think those are some gambling people in that part of the planet, you are wrong. Go to Macau sometimes, baby. That makes Vegas look like Reno. All right. So then you have Yui Chulnam against Mike De La Torre. I think Kid Nate cared. And again, Mike De La Torre, split decision. I don't have the time for that foolishness. Oh, finally a finish. Dongi Yang against Jake Collier, and Jake Collier back into the bin of honor. And here's where I pull in Du Hoi Chao, called the Korean Superboy. Fuck, I love this guy. Talk about moving from don't care to care. The Korean Superboy does it. Sam Cecilia said, he goes, what do you say? I invade to get paid. Yeah, and this is where I started. This is where I go from yawn to sorrow. You see, I'm laying it out like I set it out to lay it out. The yawn to sorrow. So we just had, outside of the fight that I was tipped off to watch, which was Steele against Dong Hyun Kim. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights I did not absolutely give a crap about, even Bang Kuntz notwithstanding. It's not so much Bang, it's just Kuntz. Look, okay, come on. I'm not 13 anymore. Let's just move ahead. Sam Cecilia, I mean, he was invading to get paid. And this is where it starts to turn to sorrow, because what happened is, you know, I went through a two-step process. Like, wow, Sam Cecilia, I haven't seen him in a while. And then Florian and this Brit guy who causes me to, it begs the question, how come I wasn't there? But whatever, this Brit guy are talking about him, said, oh, he just loves to travel. He'll go anywhere. It's come to this, huh? It's come to this. You know, in Thailand, Muay Thai fighters fight for meat. No. They fight for pieces of meat so that they can take home and eat this meat with their families. Hey, let me tell you something. You know why people like meat? I'm going to take a digression here. You know why people like meat? Because it's a pretty convenient transmission vehicle for salts and fats, which we love. Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Yeah, and spices, you know, various spices. Try to eat meat without cooking it first. And then try to eat meat, cooked meat, without, because when you cook it, it brings out the fats, right? So you eat meat without cooking it. You don't get the fats, you don't get the salt. And then sure, you can graduate it. Then you can try cooking the meat, but you know, so you're getting the fat, but you're not getting any salt. Don't season it. The meat doesn't taste that great. You know, you put that seasoning, salt, and the fat content on a piece of wood, you'd probably like that too. But I digress. So, Cecilia is like taking the fight. It's not like he expects a challenge in the top 10. It's not like he's, you know, he's one of the 300. What is it? It used to be 375. Now it's like in the 503 fighters on the roster. He's just glad to get the call, you know. Man, we need somebody to fight in Korea. How you doing? I mean, I'm sure it gives a focus to his time and his energy. You know, I'm sure it allows him to tell the people he hangs out with, hey, check me out on TV. You know, in the old days, it would have meant maybe he could have drummed up some sponsors, but no. Now it just means he goes to South Korea and gets his head beaten in. And that's precisely what happened. To what end? Do you think that Sam is going to make a swing at something in the top 10? No. This is not Lost Battalion, because I don't think Sam Cecilia is under any illusions about being Sam Cecilia. But this is another place, and we got to give it a name. I got to think about it for a bit. You think about it too. You know, it's not even the waiting room. It's not even purgatorial. You know, Sam Cecilia was sitting around eating protein bars and got a call. All right, cool. I'm going to fight this guy who's like undefeated and they call Suzar, like he's got one loss who they call Superboy. Pretty good on the opening, you know, the Fight Pass opening. What's that mean? What's that mean? I mean, listen, you know, you might complain bitterly about your job. You know, you might complain bitterly about what you do for a living, but you know what the reality of it is? The reality of it is that you will never have a Waterloo moment like this moment. Like the moment where you're sitting around and you know, it's part of your rock and roll fantasy. You're sitting around and what happens? You get a call and you know, if I win, I've irked people kind of, because they were trying to build this guy up, you know. I certainly irked the hometown crowds who are now booing me. And I haven't done anything toward getting me close to being in the top 10. So let's consider the other option. I lose the fight and I go back to the dustbin. You know, in other words, you know, infinite futility. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, locale, ground zero. It's fucked up. The prospect of being Sam Cecilia brought me down so heavily I was like beside myself. I had to start drinking again. I had to. I was compelled, reasons outside myself. No, it's not as bad as the other week before with the martinis. But so, you know, I need to think of a name to call this place where fighters go. I mean, Lost Battalion is when you don't know you're lost. You know, those guys didn't know they were lost. Lost Battalion, completely separate from what I'm talking about now. You know, those thread hangers hanging on by a thread, the pre-cut list. There's got to be some catchy, pithy thing to call guys like Sam Cecilia who are good fighters, good durable fighters who have a little cachet, a little name recognition, but are not fucking going anywhere. Be careful when Eugene S. Robinson says that, though, since I've been on record as saying the Beastie Boys, the Butthole Surfers, Suicidal Tendencies, and Barack Obama were also not going anywhere. So there's a strong possibility I might not know what I'm talking about, Mr. Cecilia. And if that is the case, and you are the hottest fucking thing at the top of the MMA pile in 2016, I'll be glad to get an email or a text from you that says, I told you so. But right now, brother, it's just the prospect of thinking about. I mean, I might win a Pulitzer, I might win a MacArthur Genius Grant, I might be MMA Journalist of the Year. You know, it's not fait accompli that I'm going to be a flame when I hit show 251. Not at all. But it is a pretty much an accomplished fact that there won't be too many cards in 2016 that feature Sam Cecilia. And that's a hard fucking reality, especially if you're writing on your tax returns, professional fighter. I don't know if you've been audited. I've been audited 3 times. Like, that's a surprise. You know, and the second time, they had serious questions about how this business I had called CFY was losing money while I myself made so much money. They said, they came right out and said, we suspect that you're using this CFY to avoid paying taxes on the money that you're making. Because if you're not in business to make good business, to make cash, I have to question why you're in business. And you know, the guy gets quiet and he looks at me. I said, well, I'm a man with a dream, you know? And I guess that was enough. I got dinged for $50. They dragged me down there. First year, $50. They audit you in batches of 3. Second time, $240. Third time, they just waved me out of there. So you know, nobody likes pity. And I'm sure Sam Cecilia doesn't like me feeling sorry for him. But I'm just trying to give you a framework to understand my mental state of being going into Sexy Yama and Alberto Mina. Now, if I thought these fights mattered at all, I would tell you, I would talk about my picks and feel like that was a big deal. I didn't care. I picked Akiyama because I knew Akiyama. And I have to say, Akiyama got robbed. Alberto Mina had a really strong second round, but the first was in question, and the third wasn't enough because he thought he was putting him away in the second, couldn't put him away in second, and gassed so bad from that effort. And he looks at the ref. It should be noted again, Chad Mendes and Connor McG. It should be noted that he blasted fucking Akiyama. Mina blasted him and is looking at the ref like, what? Are you kidding me? I just punched him, elbowed him 8 times. I thought it was a standard rule, the 1.30 punches that Chad Mendes got that was enough to wave off the fight. Don't even start. Yes, Herb Dean might be sexy and sophisticated, but that was a stinking stop. And I'm going to mention it. You complain about it, and I'll mention it. It'll be a proportional relationship to whoever the commenter was who was complaining about me mentioning it. if you complain, I'll just do a whole show where I mention nothing but that. So then there was Dunyan Kim and Dominic Waters. This was a co-main event. What co-main event? What co-main event? All right. So Dominic Waters got caught, the crucifix. I guess he didn't watch any film on. I mean, Dominic Waters is like training was like a Jackson camp. Gets caught in a crucifix, and Dunyan Kim just punched him out first round. Blissfully short. What do I have to say about it? Nothing. Move on. Ben Henderson and George Masvidal. I picked George Masvidal. I'm a big George Masvidal fan. He's a friend of Knuckle Up. He's been on the show. I said, you know, he seems like he's had a hard time. You know, it seemed like when they bought the fighters over from Pride that they were working on a different clock. And Kenny Florian pegged him. He said, you know, sometimes this guy seems like he's had the fight in the bag and he's like playing the cards in his head and just cruising to instead of going for the kill. Well, this one I thought George Masvidal did a yeoman's job. Really Brobdingnagian, you know, just pulled it out. He didn't win the fight. You know, I pulled for him. He didn't win the fight. But he said it best. And once again, here I am back in the land of sorrow. He said, well, what would you like to do next time, Florian says? And he says, well, next time, more advance notice. He got this fight on 2 weeks' notice. So what happens? You think he gets pegged as a company guy, and, well, he keeps his job. How do you like that? I want you to take that. It was like when I was a bouncer. And then he said, hey, he's calling Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean, why don't you get the mop? Why don't you clean that vomit up? No, I'm not cleaning the vomit up. I really did draw the line at vomit. I go, you guys have custodians here to clean the vomit. I'm here to get punched in the face and to punch people in the face. I don't clean any vomit. He goes, good. Then get that guy out. And I look, and there's a guy on the floor rolling in his own vomit. Rolling in his own vomit. I say, stand up. He's like, so he goes, lift him up. What the fuck? Hey, you think I want to get hepatitis C? No. So I say, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Why don't you stand up for me? And he's like, oh, okay. And so then I grab him by, you know, the least bit of contact. I grab him by like his little, like if he had shoulder pads. I go, okay, take it 1 foot in front of the other, buddy. 1 foot. And I got him outside. And I'm like, whoo, he looked like a, you know, a candy coated vomit popsicle. That's what he looked like. You know, these are terrible jobs that you have. Okay. But at least I was prepared. So he said, I'd want more advance notice. I can't remember exactly how in the post-fight interview, I can't Masvidal. But so what does he get? What does he get? Is he a company guy? Say, hey man, you're a company guy. You really helped us out in the pinch. You get to keep your job. I guess that's company guy. You know, I mean, George Masvidal, he's got a wife, he's got kids. You know, he likes to do nice things like take his wife on vacation. He was going off on vacation. I think last time we did the interview on him, he was on vacation with him. He's making time for me on vacation with his wife and his kids. He's gone from backyard fighter. He's actually, you know, but this fight, this was Borja Moy. What? Come on. You know, and let me tell you something. If you're following me on Instagram, and what is it? Mr. Sleep 3, I think is my Instagram name. If you're following me on Instagram, let me tell you something. You can look back and see when I put the picture up of me and Ben Henderson. I ran into him at the IBJJF. We were both competing, and he was complete. I mean, this wasn't that long ago. It had to be last year. I don't know, but he was competing in as a brown belt. And now, unless they made a mistake, the British guy who stole my job is calling him black belt. He's a black belt. He's a black belt. Motherfucker, like that black belt. You know, Coach Dream Crusher Sorrell did something pretty interesting. He put up the IBJJF poster with a belt with a belt timeline, and it tells you how long you have to study to get the belts. You know how long it takes to go on this IBJJF schema? How long it takes to go from all right, Andy, thank you, I'll okay it. But if you're blocked, I won't okay it until you okay me. So if you're blocked on Instagram, you know, you got to unblock it. And if you don't have any posts in your Instagram, I'm assuming you're a spy and I don't let you in. Sorry. So put your own post and don't block me. But, you know, so it says to go from purple to brown, oh, it takes a year. IBJJF says it takes a year. Are you kidding? You do know I don't expect to see a brown belt until 2020. Yep, 2020. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And Ben Henderson is running around a black belt. Come on. Come on. I don't want to hate on Ben necessarily, but this one, you barely cruise to a decision with a guy who used to fight in backyards. Didn't come through a wrestling program. His wrestling was you know, he pulled off a Granby roll. Who's doing that who didn't go to high school, was not a high school wrestler? The guy's a quick study. You know, George Masvidal had the unenviable task. We need a fighter. Do you want to take it? Pretty much, you know what the job was when you took it. The only thing to say is yes. George Masvidal fought against Gil Melendez with a broken hand. You think he was going to say no? He's got to eat. Does not want to get fired, and you do what they tell you to do. And you know, any given week, any given month, anytime you happen to find me, and if I'm unhappy, well, you'd know I'm unhappy. But if I'm unhappy, you know why I'm unhappy? You know what makes me unhappy? Impotency. You know what? You go back to The Godfather. To not be in control of your own destiny is a certain depth of hell. It is a certain type of hell to not be in control of your own destiny. And we all, to a certain degree, have that. However, if I'm not working for GQ, I could work for the LA Weekly. If I'm not working for the LA Weekly, I could work for Hustler. If I'm not working for Hustler, I could work for, I have a number of different places to express myself. Some people think GQ is like hot shit. Some people think Vice is hot shit. I've written for them both. I could write for them both. I could make money here. I could make money there. I could make money here. Think about if there was one magazine in the world. One magazine and 2 or 3 lesser magazines. You know what it feels like to be on the B team? You know what it feels like to be on the B team, to be a B player on the B team? It must feel bad enough so that guys, when they get a call with 2 weeks left to go, they'll go, yeah, sure, okay, I'll do it. Gotta eat. So in my mind, this pegs him as a journeyman stud. It also seems to single-handedly guarantee that he will not warrant better treatment in the future. Because once they know they can feed your slop, they will make do with feeding your slop. Unless they really like you. In which case they do nice things for you. Like tell you with more than 2 weeks left. You know. Anyway, I'm not hating on the bald one and the Zuffa necessarily, because it's a hard freaking job. It's a hard job. It is not an easy job. You know, you got your fantasy MMA league going, you know, it's not easy. Not at all. You know why Joe Silva's so cranky? Because it's not easy. You know why Sean Shelby, who I also known as Keith, is so nervous, anxiety ridden, because this is not an easy job at all. You know, I mean, think about the pressures. You know what I want to do? I want to go to Glassdoor. Could somebody do this before the show is over? Go to Glassdoor, which is like Yelp for employers, and see, and you can do it anonymously. So people tend to tell the truth. See what ranking the UFC has. So go to Glassdoor. I think it's glassdoor.com. Just type in. You might have to do some minor bullshit registration, but type in the UFC and, you know, maybe text me or something and let me know what the ranking is for the UFC. But it seems like a hard job. You know, you got the bald one above you. You got You got us below you. You know, you got fighters who you know, causing you. Look at that's why they get the big money, or some of them get the big money, or the guys who are least stressed get the big money, like that. So anyway, so this is the Yawn and the Sorrow. I mean, I love George Masvidal. I think the guy is a stud. He's a great fighter. But, you know, when you look at the expanse, the long enough timeline, where is George Masvidal going? You know, where is Sam Cecilia going? They might be going to different places. They're just different parts of the train that are going to the same place, I think. You know, George Masvidal might be up in first class and on the back part of first class, and Sam Cecilia is in coach, but that train's still going to the same place, and that place is not Lost Battalion because they know exactly where they're going. You know, so I'm hoping you're starting your gym. I'm hoping you're writing a book. I'm hoping there's a plan B. You know. The only person I know who's a non-plan B type that's related to me is I have a sister, you know, and everybody applies it. Now you apply to schools, you apply to 16 colleges. My sister applied to 1. She goes, all I want to do is go to Swarthmore. If I don't get into Swarthmore, I don't care. And she got into Swarthmore. So, but anyway, so that's it. That's UFC Fight Night. You know, that's UFC Fight Night 79. That's the yawn and the sorrow of it. I mean, I came away from it like this. You know, like if you go in the hospital and they're asking you to communicate your level of pain, you know, and the faces start like this. They start like this, and then they're like, and then they're, my level of that was right in the center, right in the center. It wasn't miserable. It wasn't terrible. It was what it was. A UFC Fight Night, a way to idle away some time. And if you watch it on Fight Pass, you could fast forward, and it's I don't feel bad. I feel bad when I consider the philosophical ramifications of being a journeyman fighter, but journeyman fighters have spent more time thinking about being journeyman fighters than I have. You know, and because they're journeyman fighters, if they have Lost Battalion flights of fantasy, people can just check them because they're journeyman fighters. So yeah, man, maybe I get a shot. You know, I got a shot at the belt, and somebody in the gym, if their gym is anything like Dream Crusher Central, Sorrow Academy, go, you fucking kidding? Unless you're boxing his balls, you're not going anywhere. Speaking of boxing balls, Tyson Fury and Klitschko. Oh, everybody's super excited about a fight that went 12, 15, whatever, bajillion rounds, unanimous decision. Well, I'm glad that Tyson Fury beat a aging Klitschko. I'm not hating on Fury necessarily. I want the guy who's chasing the other Klitschko around, the champ guy, Aaron, whatever his name. I want to see that guy fight. Now I do. Yeah. What did he say? Yeah, let me at him, champ. What's it? What he's got this thing that he just says, and he shows up and he harasses the guy in the restaurant, and Klitschko pours a glass of water on his head. That's the way to go at it. You know, you want to move from don't care to care. Do crazy shit. Like, whoa, wait. Not Jason Mayhem Miller crazy shit, but this guy who's chasing the other Klitschko around with this catchphrase about let me at him, champ, or whatever it is. That gets your attention. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was you, and one of you said, why don't you have Popeye make your picks for UFC 194, which is Aldo and Conor McGregor. And I was like, you know, Popeye, I don't know if you can hear him snoring over there. He's on strike. It's a late enough hour. It's freezing. He's not getting up from that bed, and he's got a fur coat on, you know. So, but I want to talk. I'm going to call my shot from here out, and I'm going to tell you why. And I want to tell you before there's Rose that fight that's coming up. So there's a lot of chatter and noise between now and December 12th. Not enough really to distract, but I want to lay it out because I know I got If I Did It, I got Care Don't Care coming up, I got other shows and other things happening, and I want you focused on this. I want to be able to call my shot now. And it has nothing to do. I know that you fantasy MMAers are sitting out there going, yes, but look at who he's fought, and look at the skill sets, and look at the height weight differential, and one guy's getting in the other guy's head. Forget about all that stuff. Forget about all that bullshit. All you got to remember right now is $100 million. You understand what I'm saying? $100 million. On Instagram, Conor McG is putting out, said, look, I'm not a company, man. I'm the company, man, which is ripping off Jay-Z. I'm not a businessman. I'm the business, man. He has showed no signs of abating or no signs of backing off from this desire, not quixotic at all, to make $100 million, to be the first MMA fighter to make $100 million. We're talking Floyd Mayweather money. And if you think the UFC wants to set a precedent that they'll have to answer to, that they will have to answer to from now forever, as long as they're involved, and that will affect their ability to you know, the fungibility of the UFC as a financial instrument. Well, why would I buy this when I got your top 10 guys that asked me for $100 million? What does that do to your spreadsheet? No, 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 no. Nobody with a big office at Zuffa wants McG to win now. Nobody. Mark my words, nobody wants to see this happen. It's a lose-lose all around. That guy, look, you know, he's fought patty cakes up to now anyway. He takes his cards and goes over to Bellator, and what? He can fight. They're guys that you get competitive fights. He's not in the same category, weight class as Ben Askren, I don't think, is he? Well, they're close enough they could actually meet and match. You know, I mean, there are guys there for him to fight. And the people who like him don't care about the UFC. They are largely probably fans, you know, sub 2-year fans. They came for the heat and the light, and that's what and they'll follow the heat and the light right out. You know, I'm not saying this fight is a fix. I'm saying, like in Apocalypse Now, even the jungle hates it. You know what? There's this thing about, okay, World War II didn't end until 1945, right? There's a victory over Europe, victory over Japan. But you do realize the Nazis had realized they lost the war way before June of 1945, right? Or whenever it was. My memory is shot. They knew it would, you know, so how do you continue when you know? Well, they were hoping for a V2 rocket. They were hoping for Werner von Braun was going to come up with some secret magical weapon but by the time the siege of Stalingrad failed, they were over and done. So you know, you give this guy $100 million, you're going to have every single guy with a good game of rap and some heat behind him asking for $100 million. And you're going to have people that might want to buy the company say, I can't afford to pay these guys $100 million when they want it. The Mayweather argument, you know, they will come back at you with the same thing. Yeah, you think that was good for boxing? Look at boxing now. Name 3 champs from any weight division in boxing who are not retired and not named Pacquiao. I mean, it's in disarray. And you got lots of guys at the top making money and nobody in the bottom. Okay. So how is the UFC any better? Well, you got lots of guys making money. No, lots of guys, 3 guys making lots of money at the top. But they're providing, you know, health insurance. I don't know. I need to tell you that there is nothing in the institutional will at Zuffa that wants to see Conor McGregor win. Now, does that have any bearing on whether he wins or not? Does that have any bearing on judging? Does that have any bearing on reffing? Does that have any bearing on, WADA and the testing? Does that have any bearing? Any of the metrics that are connected to the fight that are somehow open to outside chicanery? I don't know. I don't know, but I can tell if you feel differently. I'm talking about how hyped they were on dude, and then dude says, I presented a form. I refuse to wear the Reebok shirt. I presented a form that I've tendered my request for $100 million because these are the numbers. Numbers don't lie. And he's 100% right, which is why I love him. Your emotional arguments mean nothing to me. It's like the catch-22 thing. What if everybody felt that way? Conor McG? What if everybody? Then I'd be a damn fool to feel otherwise. And that's the reality of it. So, look, Jose Aldo and his talk of unionizing fighter. Jose Aldo's no Cal Scalak, okay? And if you don't know, you got to go by bodybuilding history. Look up Cal Scalak. I don't know how to. SZKALAK, something like that. He might push for the fighters union, but realistically speaking, the deal is that when Jose Aldo, how many fights does he have left on his contract? When he gets to the end, he's a wealthy man. What's he going to fill his time up with? Yeah, tilting against windmills, the UFC and the ball. Come on, get out of here. It is better for the long-term business prospects of Zuffa and the UFC and the bald one included if Jose Aldo wins, and that's not the way it had been. They had, look, months ago, it was like, man, we got a golden goose here. This Irish kid is going to make us so much money. But the Irish kid is no fool. Irish have been treated. There's a guy who I trained with. He was like, and they said, somebody was, we're having our periodic race discussions at Team Sorrel. And he's like, Wyatt, what do you mean? Somebody says, so Wyatt, I go, Wyatt, what are you talking about? Well, he's a white. He's white. What do you mean? Who do you think is white? Well, like Jimmy. I said, Jimmy's not white. Jimmy McG. But Jimmy's Irish. He's like, well, I'm white. He got offended. I said, really? I got a friend from Dublin, Declan, who goes to London. He still can't get directions to places because people won't talk to him when they hear his accent. You're lucky they're not making you use the backdoor entrance with dogs and Chinese people, which is what the signs in England used to say. No dogs or Irishmen allowed. Yes, but you're what? You're a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant? No. Catholic? Well, they say, okay. Who's white then? He says, well, Galinsky, he's white. Oh, Galinsky, yeah. You know where that name is from? Poland. You know how many Poles are here? He came for the sunshine and the cheese? Now they came to escape pogroms, and they're Polish Jews. He's like, my father's an anti-Semite. He wouldn't want you to say, your father's an anti-Semite. Get out of here. Come on. Well, they say, well, who among us is, all these white guys want to know, well, who among us is white? I go, well, the Norwegian guy, he's pretty white. Well, Norwegian, I'm just telling you, he's white, he's Anglo-Saxon, he's a Protestant, he's pretty much white. Well, what about the Brazilians? They go, don't even start with the Brazilians, they're not white. Well, Jews are white, Jews are not. The Semitic peoples are not white. Italians, no, they're not white either. Nah, they're not white. They get sickle cell anemia. They're too close to Africa, much like the Spaniards, the Moorish invasions. They are not white. Indian guy, whitest guy here. He's an Aryan. He's actually not a black person. Skin is dark, but he is an Aryan. you know, things get deep at Team Star. Anyway, so I'm gonna call a shot right now, and I'm gonna tell you that if McG wins this fight, if he wins this fight against Jose Aldo, it is against everything that the jungle wants. This is not what they want to have. You know, the organizational skill behind setting up a union for fighters and pushing this. You know, Jose Aldo was just fighting for a little bit of respect. He's trying to irk the ball, but you can't irk the ball one in a bigger way than when you ask for $100 million. So I'm going to say, because I believe that the house always wins, I'm going to say it right now, Jose Aldo wins this fight. Because I don't see the house losing. And you don't think the house has a stake in this? Go back and watch Rich Franklin getting beaten by Anderson Silva, and look at the bald one's face when he's the first fight, when he's got to put the belt around Silva's waist at the end of the fight. These guys are thinking macro. We're thinking micro. In macro, McGregor is bad for business. He's bad for business because everybody in the UFC is chronically underpaid. Even somebody like Sam Cecilia, chronically underpaid. What price dreams? Don't know. So I've called my shot. In the interim, if I did it, the care, don't care, preview, whatever, that. So you know, if McGregor wins this fight, he won it over the institutional will. It's like what Stalin said, how much does Russia weigh? And he goes, well, let me put it this way. Does Russia weigh more than that man in there that I'm having you torture? Yeah, Russia weighs more. So if Conor McGregor wins this fight against Jose Aldo, it means Conor McGregor weighs more than Russia. And that's a heavy fucking reality. But it's if you've seen Godfather Part 2, you know they're going to get you one way or the other. And I got to go back to Notorious B.I.G. on this one. You'll be so hot, people won't want to stand next to you. You can't in this town, you can't ask guys who care about money for $100 million and expect that things are going to stay healthy for you. And I'm not saying the guy's going to get killed. Guys don't need to get killed. Did Johnny Boney Joni need to get killed? Nah, he got Mike Tyson, which is to say he committed a crime and got put on ice for the crime. Crime was his own volition. He voluntarily chose to do it. But in a lot of ways, it sent the message. If the first person you called was a Zuffa mouthpiece, do you think it would have gone this way? I don't know where Jackson Winklejohn got that attorney for Johnny Boney Joni, but that guy was straight out of public defender land. Don't know. Don't know. So there you have it. It will be tectonic if Conor McG wins. And, you know, again, if you're friends with the guy, you're connected to him, he's got to be, if he wins, he's got to be super careful. These are, you don't fuck around with tigers, man. You don't. Ask Siegfried and Roy. It doesn't work out well. $100 million, that's bracing. Deserve it. This has got nothing to do with deserve. Nothing to do. So there's my shot. I'm thinking the house wins. I'm calling for Jose Aldo. And if it goes the other way, pobrecito. Anyway, this is the end of the show. You 17 viewers, I'm glad you stuck into it. Stuck with it. At Eugene S. Robinson, if you want to follow the Twitter exploits. I'm doing my Kid Nate thing. I already gave you the Instagram thing. I'm going to try to keep that relatively private, so I won't repeat it again. If you listened, you got it. Use it, you know. But otherwise, you're SOL. You have to go through the Twitter thing. So we'll see you in a few days for If I Did It. and then the Care Don't Care preview, in which we'll talk about the Rose Namajunas fight. And that's the end of the show. Look what you made me do!